Dark, DRG, Astrea, ByuN. Round of 16, Group C.
Africa TV, Freak Up Studio, live. 2023 GSL Season 3.
We got the drums going. All right, now the guitars are on. What's up, everybody? It's time for the winners match. We had two very different best of threes. A very dramatic ZVZ with Dark versus DRG. It was neck and neck, pretty interesting ending to game 3 there. Dark does come out on top, surviving the roach rush there from DRG. And ByuN versus Astrea. I mean, that was just so short. I wish there was more to say about it, but basically, ByuN was able to promptly end the game twice on two-base pressure. The same idea, but implemented in two different ways. But effectively, ByuN is able to spring two tanks along with a Cyclone into a position that the Protoss just isn't ready for. You know, we've had a lot of games with Widowmine drops, and that does seem to keep the Protoss at home, blocking the doors, shutting the windows, closing the blinds. But then you get a tank push that comes at an unusual time, sometimes without even a medevac there. And it's like, oh, well, it's too late now. Now you're going to be taken down. I want to see what ByuN does specifically here in this TVZ, because he had some very cool new ideas. We're still fresh on this new patch. It's right out of the oven. And so, you know, this should be a fun one. I think it's going to be a bit more of an exploratory cast to see how these two are approaching the matchup right now. But Dark versus ByuN, two players in top shape. One is going to move on here into the round of 8. Sorry, you don't get to talk at all, Steve. I thought you the whole time. No, hold on, I'm not done yet. All right, guys, this game's ready to go. Let's get into it.
I want to say words too tasteless.
No, I'm sorry.
DKZ Gaming, Dark. Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
I'm really wondering how ByuN is going to want to approach this best of 3 against Dark, because Dark, of all the Zergs in Korea, it feels like he is the most resilient to dying. He'll play on lower drone counts than other Zergs are comfortable with. You know, when you watch Scarlet try to defend a push from Maru, she'll be pushing 75, 80-plus drones. If Dark is in the same situation, welcome down to the studio, guys. ByuN, never give up. If Dark is in the same situation, I would be surprised oftentimes to see him past 70 drones. You know, he plays a very lower economy, a very safe style, where, you know, his economy, it's not going to explode and run you over, but he's not going to die.
Yeah, you never see Dark just like the attack shows up and the game ends, right? Mm-hmm. What? Okay, so I was seconds away from saying we've seen this build from ByuN a million times. It's going to be the double racks at the entrance, but he got a third in his main. So ByuN really pioneered this double racks wall in that allows you to get a bunch of Reapers out. And the fact that you get the second Reaper out a little bit earlier, it creates a different tempo that Zergs are having a hard time dealing with. Now, he's leaning into it even more, and he's going 3 racks Reaper. So Dark, who's going to see the second Reaper come early, is probably thinking, yeah, 2 racks Reaper. But it could be misleading how, as the Reapers come in, you know, how quick he can figure out, oh my God, this is 3 racks and requires a very different game.
Yeah, I like this from ByuN, because Dark feels like one of those Zergs that wants to get to the late game and just utilize his superior unit control, play with a lot of spellcasters, play with Vipers, play with Infestors, Lurkers, and play a very cost-efficient ZVT style that honestly is hard to crack, but ByuN kind of coming through with a crazy build like this one. 3 racks Reaper. Oh, I love that drone control. Almost even blocked it on the other side, too. A surround on that Reaper would have been huge for Dark. Oh, just barely missing it multiple times.
Now, the second Reaper comes up, and we've seen this threat created before, where the Queen has to slow walk off the creep, and you could use the grenades to basically bounce them back off. There are more links coming across the map, and just to be clear, all the Reapers are rallied to the group, so it's not like he's pocketing any to kind of spring a surprise on him. But he did scout that there's no command center, and that means you know those minerals went to a barracks.
Oh.
What?
Dark is so smart, too. Send those links to the middle of the map, gets a surround on a Reaper. And this is a really fast Zergling speed, by the way. It's about as fast as you're going to see it. But it's EBT, so ByuN is not going to be expecting this. Going for the surround, that grenade is pretty good. Should be able to whittle these Reapers away. Is he going to be able to escape, though? The Lings are looking for another surround, but ByuN barely gets away with all of them. Those grenades were insane.
Really well done. The regen's going to kick in a second here. And I mean, now what? We've got drones being made back at home. Is the wall in actually? Okay, there is a depot above that barracks, so he is all plugged up. And that third hatch is going to restart. Back there just below the second base.
Wow. I mean, that game could have turned on its head very quickly if Dark was able to get a full surround on those Reapers, and the grenades weren't as quite on point as they were there for ByuN. And Settle continue on. ByuN did get the cancel there on the third hatchery, so Dark's economy a little bit slower building than he would like. That's just so many Reapers to have parked back at home.
How funny. So hardly anything's actually been killed, by the way. For as dramatic as this game has been, only one Reaper, one drone, and one Zergling. But a lot of times when you go for this kind of a 3 racks Reaper pressure opening, if it doesn't do much, and I mean, I guess it did deny the hatchery once, okay, so it did get something done. It's kind of hard to get that momentum back here. Now, knowing ByuN and the way he likes to play, I think he's probably going to try to hop right back into action. So we want to see, you know, can he make this work one more time?
Yeah, I'm wondering how he's going to utilize these Reapers now that they're kind of entering the stage in the game where they don't have quite as much utility. ByuN, he's not going into Hellions, he's just focusing in on the bio. Of course, with that 3 barracks opening, he would be hard-pressed to macro up with a lot of Hellions, as it delays his tech quite a bit. So for now, he's just going to roam a little bit here where the Reapers get a feel for what's going on his side of the map. But I do wonder if we're going to have any kind of push with a high number of Marines, with Stim Pack, with the first couple of medevacs, and the Reapers just trying to maybe anchor it and throw in some grenades. Because I'm trying to imagine what that attack would look like with the 7 or so Reapers that we have on the field. It just feels so wonky imagining it. But, you know, ByuN, he's very good with these armies, although I guess... Oh, the Marine's actually coming in!
Oh my God, he just baited him in there. He was like, oh no, my Reapers are surrounded.
I saw the Reapers get surrounded. I'm like, oh, forget it. We're not even having to worry about that. Yeah. The Reaper's going to get wiped off the map, but oh man, I love that play there by ByuN. Yeah. Perfect timing with
even
the Marine
having this Marine lag behind in the back, like he's creating this illusion of a disjointed army that, as a Zerg, you're just waiting for that moment to try to dive in. And then, you know, he actually reorganizes really, really nicely here. So he's going to be cleaning up this creep. There are roaches out here. How many are there, though? The Lings are going to come in now. You know, the fact that the Lings were thinned out earlier there, I'm getting a little bit worried here for Dark. I mean, it seems like there's just a lot of sustain here.
That's a lot of damage coming through. Luckily for Dark, ByuN did not have combat shields during that engagement. An extra 10 HP on all those Marines could have made a difference, but still good value.
He really thinned out what Dark had. I'm getting a little bit worried now for this next attack that's going to come in. Very thematic here for ByuN is kind of the reliance on just 2 bases.
He's a very aggressive Terran player, especially in TVZ. Even sending this medevac back home to repair it. And I like that call.
He cut down a lot of the roaches. This time combat shields is done. We have 2 more medevacs about to pop. Whoa!
Oh, is this Maru?
This
what are we looking
is
at
crazy.
here? And this is with siege tanks as well. He might think that he just whittled down the Zerg army enough that he can go for a killing blow here. But right now, Darky's pumping out a lot of roaches. Roach speed will finish in time for this attack, but 1-1 will not be done on the Zerg side. All right, he sees the SCVs. What's the response going to be here from Dark? He's trying to kite away back into the triangle third, but ByuN just going to pounce on this position, sieging up between all 4 bases.
Yeah, and he's going to take the Roach Warren out immediately. I don't know that he could survive this, but maybe he overextends down here. Oh my God, the tank lives.
Unbelievable play from ByuN, just moving down to be able to defend those siege tanks, getting maximum value. Now he's going to try and chase down some of these Ravagers, able to pick off 1. These Marines very low on HP,
oh
but
my
the
God,
heal coming through.
He's going to hold it.
It looks like it, but still 30 SCVs back at home, and these Marines getting a lot of damage done. I don't think this is the end of the rush just yet. ByuN still has slightly more army supply. Once these Marines heal back up, my question is, will the reinforcing army from ByuN finally be enough? Because right now, Dark, he is at 48 drones, but I don't think he has the exact read on the situation. He built a couple more drones after that attack. There still is no Roach Warren.
Well, there's no, well, you know, if he sends SCVs again, it's going to really limit how much more he can produce. I mean, he will have some mules, but I think a major SCV pool, we're a little bit out of range of that. Dark has already risen up to 52 workers. So he lost a lot in that last attack, but he's still in a very healthy spot. He's going to do it again.
And he's still droning. Dark is still building drones. The Roach Warren just now about to complete. Upgrades are going to equalize at 1-1 on both sides. Some Marauders entering the fray.
So this means, it has to work. He's got 9 Roaches started now as the Roach Warren is done. He sees the SCV, so he knows what kind of fight this is. This is all going to come down to, can he hold this next attack off? It's not going to be a tug of war, but instead he has to try to smash this as quick as possible.
Oh, ByuN is able to isolate the Ravagers on the right side, now moving back in, trying to find the Queens. Dark would love to throw down some biles on those siege tanks, but ByuN is doing a great job just kind of zoning them away.
Oh, he's got the Ravagers now in between the reinforcement line. He's actually going to fire some biles over on that tank. The final one goes down and takes it up. So many Ravagers fall.
Yeah, fighting off creep with concussive shell. ByuN able to take a very good trade.
Oh my God, these rally points are brutal. He's starting to take down more Roaches that are spawning there at the 3 o'clock base. The push into the main does go down, and it looks like actually maybe ByuN's got enough. The attack here from behind though, Dark's gonna try to close that out. The medevac still with a healthy amount of energy in there.
Marines now fighting the Roaches on the front line. ByuN is trying to clear up these reinforcements here in the back. Just a handful of Ravagers and Roaches. Army supplies dead even at 40 apiece, but Dark still has 60 drones. 10 more Roaches in production. You got to think those reinforcements, they might be enough to finally stop this push.
Yeah, still plenty of energy. A pickup. Wait, is he going to go into the main?
Looks like he's going into the main.
Yeah, he's going to try to come up here. Any targets he can get. The damaged Marines are going to unload. Some of them will be healed up. They stim, they dive in. They're so low on HP that they can be one-shotted by these Roaches. They pick up again.
I think Dark might have finally stabilized.
I think so. Dark is just so godlike.
Wow. This game really hanging on a knife's edge, but Dark finally, for the first time in a long time, taking a substantial lead in Army with 60 workers to 19 SCVs. And Roaches really are kind of the perfect unit in this situation against just Marines.
And now we're going to have, I think, the death rattle here of ByuN. I don't see any real opportunities where he can do this. And you know the Terran's losing when they're picking up more and more in these fights. When the Zerg actually gets his army down there, he can't really hold his ground, so they have to scoop up and leave. There it is, GG. A really exciting game. Dark does win it, but it was hard to tell until the last couple seconds of that.
Yeah, wow.
And I mean, ByuN is so scary, but Dark is very good at kind of keeping his army and his position very elastic. He backs up away from whatever's the stronger side of the army while coming into the weaker side. A lot of times killing off those tanks in siege mode, wiping them out and then pulling back away, buying time, occasionally sending Ravagers and Lings to kill off Zerglings. Kill off Marines that are rallied up. And I mean, I gotta say, ByuN looked terrifying, but Dark, I could not be more impressed with.
Yeah, that was a solid hole. We talk about his resilience, and he's really demonstrating it here in the first map of the winner set in Group C. Getting ready to move on to hard lead for map number 2. ByuN still seems to be in good spirits. He's smiling after that one. He knows how close he was to victory. And I'm wondering exactly what he's going to bring to the table here in this next map. Is it going to be more of a macro game? Is he going to try and come up with something crazy again, like a 3-Rax Reaper or an SCV pull?
Well, he's loving his 2-base stuff. He doesn't know about the 3rd command center. He's not privy to that yet.
He hasn't figured it out.
All right, guys, we're going to go to hard lead here. Map 2, let's go.
DKC Gaming Dark. Shopify Rebellion ByuN.
So this looks like it could be that double racks at the entrance. We don't know for sure, but I mean, the depot's already out there, right?
Yeah, I think almost definitely it will be. You're gonna be on the pioneer of this build, popularizing it at the start of this year in GSL Season 1, and then...
It's funny, it's a very basic build.
Yeah.
Like but the way he does it, he just really understands the limitations the Zerg has, and where to go, where to punish.
And I remember when we were first casting this build in GSL, we were wondering, how does this possibly hold, you know, a push that comes out with Ravagers or a Baneling Bust or something with your main infrastructure there at the front?
Yeah.
You know, especially sometimes he will do this when he spawns on the top side and the add-ons are exposed.
Right.
To the push. And we've seen Zergs in GSL try to break ByuN. We've also seen Zergs in online cups try to break ByuN when he goes for these builds. And his win rate in those situations is remarkably high. He just knows exactly how to thread the needle in terms of defense.
Well, I think he has such good control of his opponent. I think that's the issue, is you never really get to a moment from the Zerg's perspective where it's your turn to attack, right? He just comes out on the, you know, it's always the threat of the Reapers, and then the Marines come in so fast after that.
That's just a solid opening. And I love the way it plays out, too. I mean, the pressure that he's able to levy on the third hatchery of Zerg. How many times have we seen him cancel a third hatch? We just saw it in map number 1 against Stark with the Reaper opening. And even if that was just a 2-Rax Reaper opening and not the third, I think he still gets that cancel. On a lot of maps, that third expansion is quite a far way to walk off creep with Queens. And with grenade usage, if you have excellent control the same way that ByuN does, oftentimes you're able to delay or possibly even cancel that third base. And it's always got to be in the back of the Zerg's minds when they see the first Reaper coming out, especially against a player like ByuN, is how many Reapers is it going to be? Is it going to be a committed 2-Rax Reaper? Is it going to be 3-Rax Reaper like we saw in map number 1? Or, as it's happening in this game, is ByuN going to quickly add in 2 add-ons and try to go for an entirely different setup?
Yeah, there's got to be a lot of different variations to this build. It's why ByuN gets this opening where he has some amount of control, but he can immediately steer the game into a different direction. Now, there was not a commitment to Reapers here. He's already got Marines in sets of 3 coming out. I don't think the Reapers alone will even be able to deny or threaten the hatchery here up at 12 o'clock.
Yeah, instead it's going to be a third barracks coming in from ByuN, and this is a little bit reminiscent of some of the TVZs we saw him play earlier in the year. As, you know, sometimes you just go for a ton of Marines with stim, with combat shields, and delay that tech up into factories, into starports, and you just move out and try to execute a timing with a gigantic ball of Marines. And sometimes it wins the game outright, sometimes it doesn't. But oftentimes, even in the games where it doesn't end the game, you're able to find enough damage that once those first 2 medevacs pop out, you know, a minute or so later, you're able to get right back into the swing of things in a really aggressive position. So
I think that he's basically scouted that this isn't as many Reapers as before. I think he should know, just seeing like the few Reapers that are there, and it's like, oh, really? You don't have any Marines? Huh?
I think ByuN not going for the damage on the third hatchery is the really big tell. Because, you know, any situation where you have 3+ Reapers coming out of those first 2 barracks, I feel like you have to try and just get the damage done on the hatch.
I think you're probably right about that. So this would probably involve an SCV pull as well here.
It could, the way that Maru did, but it also might not, because this is with stim and combat shields. I think it just really depends on how ByuN wants to play this. And now actually seeing the factory going down makes me think that this is just going to be really heavy pressure until later medevacs.
Yeah, this is very cool to see.
Yeah, I like this build a lot. This is one of my favorite Terran builds in this matchup for sure.
And he's setting this all out over here. We'll see which location he decides to make the target of his attack.
Engineering bay and factory in production back at home for ByuN. Dark right now sitting on 53 drones, making a lot of roaches, and we'll see what damage ByuN is able to get done with this. He does have stim and combat shields, but with no medevacs, the timing of the stim is very important. You want to make sure that you're able to take out some high-value targets with these Marines, because if you have to stim twice, that's more than half your army supply gone, and he's going to stim forward, pick off 2 queens, kite a little bit back.
Look at how he runs with those roaches on that one side there, while still chipping away at the Marines on the other side. Now he's going to have this kind of a weird disjointed fight here. He's not on creep. The stutter stepping is going to go right up through the mineral patches, but he only gets 3 workers. So, I mean,
I kind of like it, though. I don't think it's that bad overall. He's going to be able to get home with a good number of these Marines. They will eventually get regenerated. That starport is almost completed, and he killed, what, I think like 4 queens, as you said, 3 or 4 drones, a handful of roaches. And keep in mind, that's also a stage in the game where Dark had to respond to this. He could not be droning up, so the macro of the Zerg is largely in check, and it probably didn't go as well as ByuN was hoping, but even look at the resource loss tab, and that was a plus 600 resource differential for ByuN. I think about half of the Marines are going to make it home. And now the follow-up push with 2 medevacs has some real potential to get damage done.
Now, it's a funny thing. It's subtle, but it's worth pointing out. You know, when you do those moves where you have no medevacs, you only have so many stims in the Marines.
Yeah.
So really what you do is almost like this formation where you stim through and then back out. So it was pretty beautifully done. Getting the kills, we'll see how impactful it was when the next push comes. That's always the easiest way to evaluate how well the push before it did, is like how easy or hard is this for the Zerg to stop. And this time around, he's going to be picking up. There are some damaged Marines in there, so they're not going to be that safe right upon dropping. And honestly, Dark's just like completely ready for this.
Yeah, Dark seems to know. So deflects his push with a lot of ease, but we're working towards a timing where ByuN is going to have +1 infantry weapons quite quickly behind all of this, and the bio ball is getting very large. So I'm liking the push potential here for ByuN should he choose to get a little bit more aggressive, but you know, this isn't an all-in. This isn't quite as committed as some of the builds we've seen from ByuN in the past. He does have that 3rd command center now flying down into the triangle there to take that base. Only 7 workers behind the Zerg too.
Yeah.
So really, economically, Dark, you know, he hasn't taken too much damage. He's pulling.
Nidus.
Oh, he's a Nidus. A Nidus. Oh, that's an interesting play. I would not have. I would not be imagining this.
He does Nidus a lot, but yeah, this doesn't look like a game where you go, oh, obviously a Nidus. But I guess he knows that, okay, if ByuN takes now a 3rd base, well, he's definitely probably not going to take a 4th right away. He's probably going to try to push me.
Oh. It's a clutch depot timing right there. Love that for ByuN.
Now, whenever you see that, you know, something looming outside your base like that, you got to wonder, oh, are you going to try to, like, you know, do something sneaky to me?
He might have seen the Overseer in its, you know, stationary position too. So ByuN is certainly has it on his mind that there's a push coming in.
Here we go. How quickly? Now he's basically running around on the outside here.
I don't think he's noticed.
Draw the screen away. When you see the SCVs pulled, you know, oh, this is going to be no problem here. And the Nidus is actually going to finish.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
That's a problem. That's a lot of roaches and queens coming out. Oh, the engineering bay and the armory are here as well.
Yeah.
There's still this push at the front.
Well, he's going to be able to overpower this. Oh, what? Oh, it's an escape Nidus, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
As we always see.
That Nidus is to get those units out of there before they get surrounded.
Zerg players complain about recall.
Yeah. You guys have escape Niduses.
All right, well, this push getting a lot of damage done in the main base. 9 SCVs going down, the armory and the 2nd engineering bay both taken out. And ByuN has to retreat a lot of forces back into the main base. Luckily, there isn't too much more coming into the 3rd, but still.
God, all the SCVs die almost immediately. And, you know, the moment that you think this isn't going your way, you do exactly what we see right here. And almost all the units get away.
Yeah.
And, you know, back at home, we have Dark onto 4 bases. Production looking pretty good. And really the loss there for the Terran was in the workers. That's going to take a while to recover. Yes, Terran has mules, but this hurts. Is there an Overseer around the main still? There's not, right?
No.
Okay, so, because, you know, when you kill that much of the main with the Nidus, it's actually even easier to get the 2nd Nidus up because you don't have that much vision. A lot of the depots that are remaining are actually outside on the periphery of your base. Is used as a wall in here, so.
That's why ByuN is parking these units here at the top side.
Yeah. Now, I think Dark just wants to max out again and basically rinse and repeat. I think he's got enough Ravagers, if he morphs some more here, that he can kind of shove in with the lower amount of units that Terran has. Corrosive bile down the remaining tanks and then dislodge this position.
Yeah, he is building an army that is going to be in a prime position to attack, and ByuN knows it too. He's throwing down a sensor tower to have a better read on where this Zerg is going to be attacking from. See Dark on the minimap, looks to be setting for a flank. The top right side and the top left.
Man.
Oh, man.
This position's really bad. He's going to be hitting from both of these different sides.
And now that siege tanks, they are in siege. It's going to be very hard for them to get into a defensive position here, and Dark knows it, so he's just pushing the front. Oh, the Biles almost taking it down.
Almost kills the command center. Well, he'll get that with the next shot if he wants, or he can try to take on the tanks. I think this is a lot of different ways you can end this game right now. Here is Dark, and it looks like he's just going to try to peg the remaining tanks. It looks like one of the Biles actually misses here. So ByuN should be able to fight back here, stay in this game a little bit longer, but if you see in the production tab, there's 26 roaches hatching.
I think the economic damage from the Nidus was just too much.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, ByuN before that was only a handful of SCVs behind Dark and workers, and since that point, it's been a 30 or 40 worker gap. And so Dark, even though he's taking these trades relatively cost inefficiently, I mean, he can just fully swarm right now with Roachling, Ravager, even centrifugal hooks coming in, +2 armors about to complete.
I mean, the cracks are starting to show, right? The foundation's about to be broken open here. Gets the tank inside the medevac. GG. That's going to be a 2-0. Dark escapes this group, easy peasy. And, well, that leaves ByuN here to face the winner of DRG versus Astrea.
Really a great set of games there from Dark, from defending that push in game number 1 and then going for kind of an unintuitive Nidus attack in game 2, just completely manhandling ByuN. Love to see it. First player to advance for this group. He was the favorite coming in, and he's going to be a player to watch out for in the round of 8. I would not be surprised to see Dark make his way all the way to the finals.
It's crazy to see how good ByuN is at what he's doing, and it still doesn't work against Dark. We've got an interview now that'll be translated by Andy. He's back at the studio, and we'll see how Dark is feeling now that he's moving on to the round of 8.
Wow, what a magnificent performance today, Dark. Congratulations on your win today. Thank you. So recently you've lost a lot of games against ByuN, so how do you feel advancing today? Honestly speaking, I don't know when I lost to him. But today, I think I really taught him that the online matches and the offline matches are different. So, you know, it feels like I've shown him, I've taught him a lesson today. So in Group A, Maru was eliminated. So what went through your mind when you saw the results? Well, I felt like Maru really couldn't play to his normal capacity that day. It is quite unfortunate, but I'd like Hero to be eliminated in Group D as well. So are you fine playing against Gumio and Su and all the other formidable players? So you're currently anticipating that Hero is going to make it out of Group D. So what are your predictions for that group? Well, I feel like Gumio is playing really well these days, so I think he's going to make it out. So Hero, if you're not gonna get out of the group as the first place, you might as well just get eliminated in Group D. So you know you've shown some meticulous strategies today, and you went for the Baneliness and you went for the quick expansion to overwhelm your opponent. Although you did lose that game, Su, DRG was very aggressive. As for the fast expansion, it's something. It's a strategy that I worked out beforehand. So I think I did start on the back foot in that game against DRG that I lost. I think I'm gonna have to go home and watch the VOD. And today ByuN showed a lot of aggression. And was there no variable in that match against ByuN? Actually, there was no variable whatsoever. I had 100% confidence I would win against him. In online matches, I did lose to ByuN quite a few times, but in offline matches, I have full confidence. And you know, ByuN did show some good strategies today. So were you caught off guard at any time today? No, not really. I was fully confident. So now you make it to the next round. So any closing thoughts and any thing you want to say to the fans? Well, this is an offline match in a long time, so I'm quite nervous. But offline matches are definitely a lot more entertaining than the online matches for sure. And this is the last season for GSL this year. So I really want to thank my fans for coming here tonight to the venue, and for the online viewers, thank you.
All right. Great to hear from Dark, feeling very confident in that match, and I think for good reason. He looked to be in very top form today. After that first loss against Dongre Gu, he was firing on all cylinders.
It was a really impressive showing from him overall. Again, he might just take this whole GSL, especially with Maru out of the picture. ByuN, I'm very, very blown away by. He looks really, really good. It's almost eerie that Dark's actually able to hang on versus that and shut that down. Really amazing stuff. And ByuN kind of sticking with that aggro 2-base style that we've seen so much of, obviously in Game 3, trying something different when it didn't work at all against Dark. Coming up next, we're going to go to the elimination match, and we'll be casting that for you right after this break. Stay tuned.
Anytime, any place. Anytime, any place. Anybody, it don't matter. Anywhere, any day. Anytime, any place. Anytime.